Hello and welcome back. This is another episode, and in this episode, I will be talking about another author from my English page. There were many authors that I had to memorize and what they wrote. It was so many. Anyways, so the next person I'll be talking about is James Whitcomb Riley. Um, I think he was also nicknamed the Hoosier poet. Um, I think of some people know his works, such as The Old Swimming Hole and When the Frost is on a Pumpkin. I think yeah, I know some of those. I've heard. I've tried to memorize some of those when I was younger, when I was homeschooled. And so yeah, this will be a summary of his life mostly, and basically some stuff. So, James Whitcomb Riley was an author of many beloved poetry volumes, and he was widely known for his works, such as the ones I mentioned, um, The Old Swimming Hole and the When the Frost on a Pumpkin. I'm not sure every time. Anyways, so he was born in Indiana, and he was a native and a resident in that place. Excuse me. And he was born in 1849. And he was actually, well, according to what I've learned, he was apparently drawn to poetry before he could even read. I don't know if that was possible, but yes. And um, so yeah, James Riley actually quit school at a really young age. Not really young age, but he quit school at the age of 20. I don't recommend it though. And he had to work. He went to work and had jobs such as selling Bibles and painting houses. And after that, he became a sign painter. He became a sign painter, and and then years later, he worked as an associate editor at the Greenfield News. And after a year, or a year later, he published a poem. He established a poem. I do not get the poem's name, but he established a poem. And in a few years passed, and he wrote even more poems. Um, yeah, and I mentioned that his nickname was Hoosier Poet. I don't know how to pronounce that for some reason. And he actually got that nickname because he charms audiences with his writing skills or his imitation of the the native dialect of the place he was from, or aka Indiana. It was kind of like southern-ish from what I've seen from his poems. And yeah, many of his poems were published in the Indianapolis Journal, and they were later collected in his first book, The Old Smith Hole, and 11 other poems. Basically, he wrote some pretty good poems, and like his because most of the words that like if you read it, it's kind of like broken English or misspelled words, and that's one thing that's interesting about his poems. It's because of that to me, and it just when I read it sometimes I kind of read it in the dialect or just read it how read. So yeah, that's an interesting fact from his life that he had really he had really good poems, and his poems, like the words or the way he wrote it, is pretty funny, pretty good. It's almost like a child's like writing, anyways. So yeah, that's basically the end of the video.